Hi, folks. Today I present Phoenix on the Sword by Robert E. Howard. Without further ado, know, prince, that between the years when the ocean strike Atlantis into gleaming cities, in the years of the rise of the son of Arias, there was an age undreamed of, when shining kingdoms lay spread across the world like blue mantles beneath the stars. Nemedia, Ophir, Berthunia, Hyperborea, Zamora, and its dark-haired women in towers of spider-haunted mystery, Zingara with its chivalry, Koth that bordered on the pastoral lands of Shem, Stygia with its shadow-guarded tombs, Hyrcania, whose riders wore steel and silk and gold. But the proudest kingdom of the world was Aquilonia, reigning supreme in the dreaming west. Hither came Conan, the Cimmerian, black-haired, sullen-eyed, sword in hand, a thief, a reefer, a slayer, with gigantic melancholies and gigantic mirth, to tread the jeweled thrones of the earth under his sandaled feet. The Nemedian Chronicles. Over shadowy spires and gleaming towers lay the ghostly darkness that silenced the runs before dawn. Into the Glim Valley, one of a veritable labyrinth of mysterious winding ways, four masked figures came hurriedly from a door which a dusky hand furtively opened. They spoke not, but went swiftly into the gloom, cloaks wrapped closely around them. As silently as the ghost of murdered men, they disappeared into the darkness. Behind them, a sardonic countenance was framed of a partly open door, a pair of evil eyes glinting malevolently in the gloom. "Go into the night, creatures of the night," the voice mocked. "O fools, your doom hounds your heel like a blind dog, and you know it not." The speaker closed the door and bolted it, then turned and went up the corridor, candle in hand. He was a somber giant, whose dusky skin revealed his Stygian blood. He came into an inner chamber where a tall, lean man in worn velvet lounged like a great lazy cat on a silken couch, sipping wine from a huge golden goblet. "Well, Escalante," said the Stygian, setting down the candle, "your dupes have slunk into the streets like rats from their burrow. You work with strange tools." "Tools?" replied Escalante. "Why, they consider me that. For months now, ever since the rebel force summoned me from the southern desert, I have been living in the very heart of mine enemies, hiding by day in this obscure house, sulking through the dark valleys and darker corridors at night. And I have accomplished what those rebellious nobles could not, working through them and through other agents, many of whom have never seen my face. I have honeycombed the empire with sedition and unrest. In short, I, working in the shadows, have paved the downfall of the king who sits throned in the sun. By Mithra, I was a statesman before I was an outlaw. And these dupes who deem themselves your masters, they will continue to think that I serve them until our present task is completed. Who are they to match with Escalante, Volumana, the dwarfish count of Caraban, Grommel, the giant commander of the Black Legion, Dion, the fat baron of Atolas, Rinaldo, the harebrained minstrel? I am the force which has welded together the steel of each, and by the clay of each I will crush them when the time comes. But that lies in the future. Tonight, the king dies. Days ago I saw the imperial squadrons ride from the city," said the Stygian. "They rode to the frontier, which the heathen Picts assail, thanks to the strong liquor which I've smuggled over the borders to madden them. Dion's great wealth made that possible, and Volumana made it possible to dispose of the rest of the imperial troops which remained in the city. Through this princely kin of Nemedia, it was easy to persuade King Numa to request the presence of Count Trocero of Poitin, Senescal of Aquilonia, and of course, do him on. He'll be accompanied by an imperial escort as well as his own troops, and Prospero, King Conan's right-hand man. That leaves only the king's personal bodyguard in the city, besides the Black Legion. Though Cromwell, I've corrupted a spendthrift officer of the guard. A spendthrift officer of the guard, and bribed him to lead his men away from the king's door at midnight. There was 16 desperate rogues of mine. We entered the palace by a secret tunnel. After the deed is done, even if the people do not rise to welcome us, Cromwell's Black Legion will be sufficient to hold the city and the crown. And Dion thinks that crown will be given to him. Yes, the fat fool claims it by reason of the trace of royal blood. Conan makes a bad mistake in letting men live who still boast descent from the old dynasty from which he tore the crown of Aquilonia. Volamana wishes to be reinstated in royal favor, and he was under the royal regime, so that he may lift his poverty-ridden estates to their former grandeur. Cromwell hates Palantides, the commander of the Black Dragon, and desires the command of the whole army with all the stubbornness of Bosonian. Above all this, Rinaldo has no personal ambition. He sees in Conan a red-handed, rough fool barbarian who came out of the north to plunder a civilized land. He idealizes the king, whom Conan killed, to get the crown, remembering only that he occasionally patronized the arts, forgetting the evils of his reign, and he is making the people forget. Already they openly sing the Lament of the King, in which Rinaldo lauds the sainted villain and denounces Conan as, quote, that black-hearted savage from the abyss, unquote. Conan laughs, but the people snarl. Why does he hate Conan? Poets always hate those in power. To them, perfection is always just behind the last corner or beyond the next. They escape the present in dreams of the past and future. Rinaldo is a flaming torch of idealism, rising as he thinks to overshadow a tyrant and to liberate the people. As for me, well, a few months ago I had lost all ambition, but to raid the caravans for the rest of my life. Now all dreams stir. Conan will die, Dion will mount the throne, then he too shall die. One by one, all who oppose me will die, by fire or steel, or those deadly wines you know so well how to brew. Ascalante, king of Aquilonia, how like you the sound of it? The Stygian shrugged his broad shoulders. There was a time, he said with unconcealed bitterness, when I too had my ambitions. Beside, which yours seem toddy and childish. To what a state I have fallen. My old-time peers and rivals stare indeed. Could they see Thoth Amon of the Ring serving as a slave of an outlander? And an outlaw at that, and aiding in the petty ambitions of barren kings. You laid your trust in magic and mummery, answered Ascalante carelessly. I trust my wits and my sword. Wits and swords are as straw against the wisdom of the darkness, growled the Stygian, his dark eyes flickering with menacing light and shadow. Had I not lost the ring, our position might be reversed. Nevertheless, answered the outlaw impatiently, you are the stripes of whip on your back, and are likely to continue to wear them. Be not so sure, the fiendish hatred of the Stygian glittered for an instant redly in his eyes. Someday, somehow, I will find the ring again, and when I do, by the serpent fangs of Set, I will pay. The hot-tempered Aquilonian started up and struck him heavily across the mouth. Thoth reeled back, blood starting from his lips. You grove or bold dog, growled the outlaw. Have a care. I am still your master who knows your dark secret. Go upon the housetops and shout that Escalante is in the city plotting against the king, if you dare. I dare not, muttered the Stygian, wiping the blood from his lips. No, you do not dare, Escalante grinned bleakly. And if I die by your stealth or treachery, a hermit priest in the southern desert will know of it, and will break the seal of a manuscript I left in his hands. And having read, a word will be whispered in Stygia, and a wind will creep up from the south by midnight, and where will you hide your head? Thought Amun. The slave shuddered, and his dusky face went ashen. Enough, Escalante changed his tone peremptorily. I have work for you. I do not trust Dion. I bade him ride to his country estate and remain there until the work tonight is done. That fat fool could never conceal the nervousness before the king today. Ride after him, and if you do not overtake him on the road, proceed to his estate and remain with him until we send for him. Don't let him out of your sight. He is mazed with fear and might even rush to Conan in panic and reveal the whole plot, hoping thus to save his own hide. Go. The slave bowed, hiding the hate in his eyes, and did as he was bidden. Escalante turned to his wine. Over the jeweled spirals was rising a dawn, crimson as blood. Chapter 2. When I was a fighting man, the kettle drums they beat, the people scattered gold dust before my horse's feet. But now I am a great king. The people hound my track with poison in my wine cup and daggers in my back. The road of kings. The room was large and ornate, and rich tapestries on the polished paneled walls. Deep rugs on ivory floors, and with the lofty ceiling adorned with intricate carvings and silver scroll. Behind an ivory gold inlaid writing tablet sat a man whose broad shoulders and sun-browned skin seemed out of place among those luxuriant surroundings. He seemed more a part of the sun and winds and high places of the outlands. His slightest movement spoke of steel spring muscles knit to a keen brain with the coordination of a born fighting man. There was nothing deliberate or measured about his actions. Either he was perfectly at rest, still as a bronze statue, or else he was in motion, not with the jerky quickness of over-tense nerves, but with a cat-like speed that blurred the sight which tried to follow him. His garments were of rich fabric, but simply made. He wore no ring or ornaments, and his square-cut black mane was confined merely by the cloth of silver band around his head. Now he laid down the golden stylus with which he had been laboriously scrawling on wax papyrus, rested his chin on his fist, and fixed his smoldering blue eyes enviously on the man who stood before him. This person was occupied with his own affairs at the moment, for he was taking up the laces of his gold-cased armor and abstractly whistling. A rather unconventional performance, considering that he was in the presence of a king. Prospero, said the man at the table, these matters of statecraft weary me as all the fighting I have ever done. All part of the game, Conan, answered the dark-eyed Poitanian. You are king, you must play the part. I wish I might ride with you to Numidia, said Conan enviously. It seems ages since I had a horse between my knees, but Publius says that affairs in the city require my presence. Curse him! When I overthrew the old dynasty, he continued, speaking with the easy familiarity which existed only between the Poitanian and himself, it was easy enough, though it seemed bitter hard at the time, looking back now over the wild path I followed. All those days of toil, intrigue, slaughter, and tribulation seemed like a dream. I did not dream far enough, Prospero. When King Numidas lay dead at my feet, I tore the crown from his gory head and set it on my own. I had reached the ultimate border of my dreams. I had prepared myself to take the crown, not to hold it. In the old free days, all I wanted was a sharp sword and a straight path to my enemies. Now, no paths are straight, my sword is useless. When I overtook Numidides, then I was a liberator. Now they spit at my shadow. They have put a statue of that swine in the temple of Mithra. People go wail before it, hauling it as a holy effigy in a saintly of a saintly monarch who was done to death by a red-handed barbarian. When I led her armies to victory as a mercenary, Aquilonia overlooked the fact that I was a foreigner, but now she cannot forgive me. Now in Mithra's temple, they're come to burn incense to Numidides' memory, men whom this hangman maimed and blinded, men whose sons died in his dungeon, whose wives and daughters were dragged into his seraglio, the fickle fool. Rinaldo is largely responsible, answered Prospero, drawing up his sword belt another notch. He sings songs that make men mad. Hang him in his jester's garb to the highest tower in the city. Let him make rhymes for the vultures. Conan shook his lion's head. No, Prospero, he's beyond my reach. A great poet is greater than any king. His songs are mightier than my scepter, for he has near ripped the heart out of my breast when he chose to sing of me. For me, I shall die and be forgotten, but Rinaldo's songs will live forever. Now, Prospero, the king, continued, the somber look of doubt shadowing his eye. There is something hidden, some undercurrent of which we are not aware. I sense it. As in my youth I sensed the tiger hidden in the tall grass. There was a nameless unrest throughout my kingdom. I am like a hunter who crouches by the small fire amid the forest, hears stealthy feet padding in the darkness, and almost sees the glimmer of burning eyes. If I could but come to grips with something tangible that I could cleave with my sword. I tell you, it's not by chance that the Picts have of late so fiercely assailed the frontiers, so that the Bosonians have called for aid to beat them back. I should have ridden with the troops. Publius feared the plot to trap and slay you beyond the frontier, replied Prospero, smoothing his silken surcoat over his shining mail, admiring his tall, lithe figure in the silver mirror. That's why we urged you to remain in the city. These doubts are born of your barbarian instincts. Let the people snarl. The mercenaries are ours, and the Black Dragons, and every rogue in Poiton swears by you. Your only danger is assassination, and that's impossible, with men of the Imperial troops guarding you day and night. What are you working at there? A map, Conan answered with pride. The maps of the court show well the countries of the south, east, and west, but in the north they are vague and faulty. I am adding the northern lands myself. Here's Samaria, where I was born, and, quote, Asgard and Vanaheim, Prospero scanned the map. By Mithra, I had almost believed those countries had been fabulous. Conan grinned savagely, involuntarily touching the scar on his dark face. You had known otherwise had you spent your youth in the northern frontiers of Samaria. Asgard lies to the north and Vanaheim to the northwest of Samaria, and there is continual war along the borders. What manner of men are these northern folk? Asked Prospero. Tall and fair and blue-eyed, their god Ymir, the frost giant, and each tribe has his own king. They are wayward and fierce. They fight all day and drink ale and roar their wild songs all night. Then I think you are like them, laughed Prospero. You laugh greatly, drink deep, and bellow good songs, though I never saw another Cimmerian who drank out of the water, or who ever laughed, or ever say to chant dismal dirges. Perhaps it's the land they live in, answered the king. A gloomier land never was. All the hills darkly wooded under skies, nearly always gray, with winds moaning drearily down the valleys. No wonder men grow moody there, quoth Prospero with a shrug of his shoulders, thinking of the smiling sun-washed plains and the blue, lazy rivers of Poiton, Aquilonia, the southernmost province. They have no hope here or hereafter, answered Conan. Their gods are Crom and his dark race rule over a sunless place of everlasting mist, which is the world of the dead, Mithra. The ways of the Aesir were more to my liking. Well, Grim Prospero, the dark hills of Samaria are far behind you. And now I go. I'll quaff a goblet of white Median wine for you at Numa's court. Good, grunted the king. But kiss Numa's dancing girls for yourself only, lest you involve the states. With gusty laughter, his gusty laughter followed Prospero out of the chamber. And that concludes part 1 of Phoenix, the Phoenix on the Sword. He made it to the end.